When I ask members-elect to take their seats, it does not mean everybody but you. Please take your seats. Representatives, please take your seats. Now, I taught school. I broke one of those once. I don't want to do it again. This day, December 3rd, 2014, the first Wednesday of December, being the day designated by the Constitution, Article 3rd, Part 2nd, for assembling the body, the 164th General Court of the State of New Hampshire at the Capitol in the City of Concord, I do hereby convene the 2015 House of Representatives and call the House to order. The members-elect will be reverently attentive while guest chaplain Reverend Kate Atkinson, rector of St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Concord, leads us in prayer.
Let us pray. O God, the Alpha and Omega, God of beginnings and endings, we place in your hands the events of this day in this house. We give you thanks for those people whose terms of service have come to an end, and for those whose terms are just beginning. As plans are put in motion and projects are completed, we pray for the wisdom that results in good decisions. Please bless this gathering with listening ears, clarity of thought, and a deep respect for the people they serve throughout the state of New Hampshire. We pray in gratitude for the gift of leadership. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing while Representative-elect Travis Bennett from Plymouth leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance. In keeping with tradition, I believe Travis is our youngest member. Whoops, that was a mistake. Please remain standing while Katie Rosmuck of Salem, daughter of Representative-elect John Manning, sings our national anthem. Katie?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I will now call the roll, and staff in the well will record those present. The members-elect are requested to remain in their seats and answer in firm voices. Mileage for the day will be based on this roll call. Members-elect who do not answer will not be recorded as present and therefore will not be recorded as having taken the oath of office to be administered directly following the roll call. Some of you know this routine. This is a roll call by county. Belknap County. You're going to have to please be quiet or we can't hear, and that could cost you. Belknap County, Aldrich, Comtois, Dumais, Fields, Fisher, Flanders, Fraser, Gallagher, Howard, Hurt, LeBrecq, Luther, Russell, Spanos, Sylvia, Tilton, Vadney, Varney, Carroll County, Avalon, Bucco, Butler, Chandler, Como, Cordelli, Crawford, McCarthy, McConkey, Nelson, Parker, Schmidt, Ticehurst, Umberger, Wright, Cheshire County, Abbott, Ames, Birch, Bourdonnais, Chase, Eaton, Emerson, Susan Emerson, Hunt, Johnson, Lay, Mann, McConnell, Parkhurst, Pearson, Phillips, Robertson, Sad, Shepherdson, Sterling, Tatro, Tilton, Weber, Coos County, Fothergill, Froberg, Hatch, Moynihan, Rappaport, Richardson, Rideout, Theberge, Thal, Thomas. Yvonne Thomas? Did anybody hear her? Grafton County, Abel, Almy, Bailey, Bennett, Brown Chris, Dwayne Brown, Rebecca Brown, Cooney, Darrow, Ford, Genet, Hennessy, Aaron Hennessy, Martha Hennessy. Okay, thank you, I'm sorry. Higgins, Hull, Ingbertson, Johnson, Ladd, Mays, Massamia, Nordgren, Piper, Shackett, Smith, Sykes, Townsend, White, Hillsborough County. Adams, Christopher Adams. Ammon, Bacchus, Balcom, Baruti, Barry, Richard Barry, Bolio, Belanger, Biggie, Bohm, Boris, Astathia Boris, Bolden, Brown, Burt, Byron, Chris Christensen, Lars Christensen, Christie, Coffey, Cohen, Cornell, Cote, Danielson, DeSilvestro, Donovan, Eastman, Edelblut, Edwards, Elizabeth Edwards, Estevez, Ferreira, Flanagan, Forrest, Freitas, Fromuth, Gagney, Gargaz, Gidge, Goley, Gonzalez, Gorman, Gould, Goulet, Griffin, Garrett, Hafner, Halstead, Hansberry, Hanson, Harvey, Heath, Herbert, Hinch, Hogan, Hopper is out. Infantine, Jack, Jasper, Judy, Jean Judy? I'm sorry, we can't hear you unless you give us an answer. Katsantonis, Kirk, LaChance, LeBrun, Leishman, Long, Manjaputi, Manley, Marston, Martell, McCarthy, McLaren, McLean, McNamara, Moore, Moritaki, Murphy, Nodder, Michael O'Brien, William O'Brien, O'Neill, Lynn Ober, Russell Ober, Ohm, Palmer, Parison, Pellegrino, Peterson, Pierce, Porter, Prue, Rice, Roberts, Rokas, Ted Rokas, Rosenwald, Rouliard, Rowe, Sanborn, Schlein, Sconsis, Seidel, Shattuck, Shaw, Silva, Simmons, Gregory Smith, Timothy Smith, Snow, Susie, Souza, Stepanek, Straight, Dan Sullivan, Victoria Sullivan, Sweeney, Takasian, Twombly, Ullery, Van, Walsh, Williams, Wolf, Woodbury, Zaricki, Merrimack County, Alicia, Bartlett, Bradley, Brewster, Carson, Deloge, Doherty, Ebel, Frazier, June Frazier, French, Barbara French, Harold French, Guile, Henley, Hess, Hill, Hirsch, Houle, Horn, Carrick, Kennison, Kidder, Katowski, Cook, Long, Luno, McKay, Marple, Martin, McGuire Carroll, McGuire Dan, Moffett, Myler, Parent, Jason Parent, Rotsky, Rice, Patton, Rogers, Sanderson, Shuett, Seaworth, Shurtleff, Turcott, Wallner, Walsh, Wheeler, Rockingham County, Abrami, Abramson, Allen, Azarian, Baldessaro, Barnes, Bates, Belanger, Berrien, Borden, Bush, Cahill, Callie Pitts, Carden, Chase, Giorcello, Christie, Cook, Cushing, DeSimone, Devine, DeFranco, Dobson, Doucette, Duarte, Elliott, Emmerich, Ferrante, Fesh, Franchise, Friel, Gannon, Pamela Gordon, Richard Gordon, Griffin, Guthrie, Hagan, Joseph Hagan, Harris, Heffron, Hodgson, Holzel, Howe, Introne, Itza, Kapler, Katsikoris, Kellogg, Kologi, Lovejoy, Lundgren, Major, Manning, Matthews, Macbeth, McKinney, McMahon, Mills, Moody, Negrello, O'Connor, Oligny, Osborne, Packard, Pantelakis, Peckham, Patuchik, Priestley, Prudhomme O'Brien, Rice, Sanders, Schroeder, Sherman, Simpson, Spillane, Sweeney Dennis, Joe Sweeney, Sitek, Tamburello, Tasker, Thomas, True, Tucker, Vos, Gerald Ward, Joanne Ward, Webb, Welch, Weiler, Waltken, Wood, Stratford County, Baber, Bowden, Berube, Bickford, Bixby, Burton, Cheney, Silly, DeLamus, DeSesa, Gardner, Gray, Groen, Hannon, Horrigan, Jones, Kaczynski. Thank you. Kane, Knowles, Lehman, Mullen, Parsons, Petrie, Rollo, Schmidt, Smith, Southworth, Spang, Sprague, Stevens, Trelevin, Turcott, Vashurin, Wall, Ward, Whitehouse, Wolper, Sullivan County, Bridge, Cloutier, Converse, Gagnon, Gotling, Grenier, Virginia O'Brien Irwin, LaWare, O'Hearn, Oxenham, Rollins, Schmidt, Smith, and if you'll just stay where you are, we will make sure of our numbers here. If anyone has come in since the roll was called, please come up and let the people in the well know. Would those of you that have turned on your keys, please turn them off? With 392 members-elect having answered the call, a quorum is present out of 400. Somebody just... Now, for those of you that have been here before, this is familiar. The House will attend to a resolution. Representatives-elect William O'Brien and Steve Shurtleff offer the following. Resolved that a committee be appointed to wait upon the governor and the honorable council to inform them that a quorum of the House is assembled and requests their attendance. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. In keeping with tradition of appointing our longest-serving members, the chair appoints from Portsmouth, Representative Laura Pantelakis, serving her 19th term. From Concord, Representative-elect Mary Jane Wallner, serving her 18th term. From Nashua, Representative-elect David Cody, serving his 17th term. And from Bartlett, Representative Gene Chandler, serving his 17th term. If those representatives-elect will assemble at the door to my right, the Sergeant-at-Arms will escort them down to the Governor and Council chamber. We are now at 393. Please keep your seats because they were expecting us and we are right on time. So, if there are any members, other members who have entered the hall since the call of the roll, please come down front and make sure your attendance is recorded. We are now at 393, and the House will attend to the introduction of guests.
Madam Chair, please welcome Paul Toomey, guest of Representative Cushing. The Honorable Caitlin Rollo, former member from Manchester, daughter-in-law of Representative-elect Rollo. Thomas and Barbara Sweeney, parents of Representative-elect Joe Sweeney. Krista Crowell and Janice Cook, daughter and wife of Representative-elect Cook. Joel Weinreed, guest of Representative-elect Lebrecq. Robin Goulet, wife of Representative-elect Goulet. Barbara Howard, wife of Representative-elect Howard. The Honorable Michael McCarthy, former member from Nashua, husband of Representative-elect Peggy McCarthy. Kathy Stone, Sandra and Dan Pearson, aunt, mother, and father of Representative-elect Pearson. Mark Biggie, husband of Representative-elect Biggie. Carol Martin, wife of Representative-elect Martin. Deborah Mays, Ted Prizio, and John Dawson, wife and guests of Representative-elect Mays. Larry and Kathleen Kellogg and Carla Mora, parents and guests of Representative-elect Kellogg. Jessica and Ellen Stepanek, Edward and Edith Kennedy, and the Honorable Phyllis Woods, former member from Dover, daughter, wife, father-in-law, and mother-in-law, and guest of Representative-elect Stepanek. Blake, William, and Tom Simpson, sons and husband of Representative-elect Simpson. Katie, Colleen, Kerry, Billy, and Janice Gannon, daughters, son, and wife of Representative-elect Gannon. Claire, Luke, and John Hennessy, and Jan Tapper, daughter, son, husband, and mother of Representative-elect Aaron Hennessy. Elvira Judy, wife of Representative-elect Judy. Derek and Alan Frazier, son and husband of Representative-elect Valerie Frazier. Corinne Foreman Doherty, wife of Representative-elect Doherty. Teresa Kapler, wife of Representative-elect Kapler. Pam Silva, wife of Representative-elect Silva. Roxanne, Brendan, Colleen, and Juliana O'Brien. Napoleon Guardado, Roger Langevin, Juliana Bergeron, Thania Catalan, Jennifer Horn, Bob and Sandra Kent, Corey Lewandowski, and Greg Moore, wife, son, daughter-in-law, son-in-law, and guests of Representative-elect William O'Brien. Robert and Elizabeth Fisher, parents of Representative-elect Fisher. Scott and William Spillane, brother and father of Representative-elect Spillane. Kenneth Mitchell and Phyllis Richard, guest and mother of Representative-elect DeLemus. Gary Sparks and Catherine Porter, husband and daughter of Representative-elect Porter. The Honorable Lynette Peterson, former member from Merrimack, guest of Representative-elect Nodder. John, Catherine, and Shane Zaricki, parents and brother of Representative-elect Zaricki. The Honorable Bill O'Connor, former member from Barrington, guest of Representative-elect Tucker. Brian Donovan and the Honorable Richard Lavasser, former member from Hudson, guests of Representatives-elect Lynn and Russell Ober. Sheila Allen Harris, wife of Representative-elect Harris. Elizabeth and David Thomas, wife and son of Representative-elect Doug Thomas. Charles, Louis, Costa, and Lisa Boras, Janice and Pamela Sirigatis, Christiana and Sylvia Gramas, Brenda Ord and Maria Macias, father, brother, godson, sister-in-law, daughters, and guests of Representative-elect Boras. Melody Smith and Jennifer Goslin, guests of Representative-elect Simmons. Deb Schlein, parents of Representative-elect Schlein. Lois and Jonathan Bates, wife and son of Representative-elect Bates. Diane Petrie, wife of Representative-elect Petrie. Susan Taft Irvin, guest of Representative-elect Peter Schmidt. They are with us in the gallery today.
Welcome to the New Hampshire House. The chair recognizes the Sergeant at Arms.
Madam Chairwoman, the Honorable Executive Council.
The chair recognizes the Sergeant at Arms.
Madam Chairwoman, Her Excellency, the Honorable Governor Margaret Wood Hassan.
It's a lot of up and down. You will find an affirmation of oath statement in your seat pocket. It has your name on it. After the swearing in, please sign it where indicated and pass it to the right for collection by a member of the staff. These are important. It indicates that you actually have taken the oath of office. Please stand and the governor will administer the oath.
Well, thank you, Madam Clerk. Congratulations, everybody. Thank you for being willing to come to the State House and do the people's business. I look forward to working with all of you. Now, please, if you would raise your right hand, and where appropriate, you're going to state your name and town where I indicate, and repeat after me. I state your name, of your city or town, do solemnly swear that I will bear faith and true allegiance to the United States of America and the state of New Hampshire, and will support the constitutions thereof. So help me God. I state your name. Do solemnly and sincerely swear and affirm that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent on me as state representative according to the best of my abilities, agreeably to the rules and regulations of this Constitution and laws of the state of New Hampshire. So help me God. Congratulations, everybody.
Please remain standing while the governor and council are escorted from the chamber. And pass your oath slips to the right, and they will be collected by a member of the staff. You may be seated. I am aware that there are a couple of people in the room who did not have oath slips. Make sure that someone up front here knows that. I know of 3, I think, at the moment. We will take care of that for you. You will be considered sworn in. We will get you a slip to sign later. Okay. I know a lot of you just saw something happen. I will deal with it later. Nancy is very sorry that she walked in front of the podium. The next item on the agenda is the adoption of ground rules for election. Having been notified, the chair recognizes Representative Bates.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the adoption of the rules entitled Organization Day, New Hampshire House of Representatives Ground Rules for Election. These have been distributed by the Sergeant at Arms to all the members.
The motion by Representative Bates is to adopt the ground rules that have been distributed by the Sergeant at Arms. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
Yes, Madam Chair. The rules that we're proposing are essentially the same as what the body has always adopted, and the departure from what we have done in the past is simply in the mode of voting. The first paragraph makes it clear that we adopt the previous rules that were in place for this legislature in the 2014 session. Voting is only, of course, by those who have been certified by the Secretary of State, and all elections will be decided by a majority vote. If more than two candidates are nominated, and after a round of balloting, none of them receive a majority, then the one with the fewest votes will be eliminated. And the fourth paragraph says that once nominations have been closed, that they will not be reopened again, regardless of the need for subsequent ballots. It's our belief that adopting these rules in Again, the only change from past precedent is the mode in which we're voting, which will be by a roll call vote. And we believe that this will be more expeditious. It takes a considerable amount of time to distribute ballots, to call each section and have members come to the front and deposit those in the box one at a time, and then count them all at the end. A roll call vote, as we just did for attendance, will clearly be quicker, and we hope that members will adopt these rules and have our organization day proceed as orderly as possible. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The chair recognizes the member from Pennacook, Representative Shurtleff, to speak to the motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, before I begin my brief remarks, may I make a query of the chair?
Certainly.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excuse me for turning my back to you. Madam Chair, a couple of days ago, I was shown copies of our proposed rules for today's elections, and these aren't the rules that I was showed a couple of days ago, are they?
No, they are not.
And Madam Chair, isn't it always been the past practice that the clerk would draft rules and the parties on both sides would agree to that draft rules?
That has been the practice.
And one further question, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, shouldn't there be a name on this of who actually proposed this rule, these rules?
I believe I heard Representative Bates say "we." I don't know who the "we" is. I would defer the question. I do not know the answer.
Thank you, and Madam Chair.
Do you want to answer?
I'll let him answer that question. Thank you. Thank you, Representative Bates.
Thank you. Madam Chairman, just to be clear, I'm sorry if I was not clear before. I am making this motion, and these are the rules that the majority party in our caucus has agreed upon, and again, we hope that the entire body will adopt these rules. And I would also request that we have a roll call vote on this.
That's something different. I believe Representative Shurtleff had more he wanted to say.
And one more query of the chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, it's my understanding that the electronic voting devices are not set up for a roll call. I would move that we have a secret paper ballot on these proposed rules. And
You would like to make that as a motion?
that's a motion, Madam Chair.
Representative moved for a paper ballot on the rules. Representative Baldessaro?
Point of order. Thank you, Madam Chair. That motion, I would think, is out of order because there's already a motion on the floor.
There is a motion on the floor, but I believe his motion is a procedural motion. At any time when the House has a motion on the floor, a member may request a roll call or a ballot. The chair is trying to think.
Madam Chair, what
You made the last day memorable, I'll tell you that.
What are you thinking?
I have your motion, okay? Did you have more that you want to?
No, Madam, just go briefly to the motion before us.
Then he has to.
Follow?
You had a point of order. Let him. What his remarks were about the leave. Is that correct?
That's correct, Madam Chair.
It has nothing to do with the roll call vote.
He made a motion, Madam Chair, about the roll call. There was already one.
That's right.
That's why we got about it.
Excuse me, Representative Baldessaro. Representative Bates was speaking. I have set aside any other motions at this time, and the debate is on the proposed rules. I am thinking.
Thank you, Madam.
You may consider. continue on the proposed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, since I did not know I'd be speaking to this question, I'm going to be very brief. Madam Chair, we in New Hampshire hold with the secret ballot. We also hold sacred in this state the traditions of this distinguished general court. It has always been the practice in this general court, unless someone was elected by acclamation, that we have a secret ballot. I would ask you to no on this motion, so another set of rules, the original rules that were shown to me, could be introduced. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Your motion is in effect to amend the draft rules.
Madam Chair, my motion was to, I think a roll call is going to be requested, which is somewhat difficult. My motion is to go to a secret paper ballot.
Okay, so you are amending the motion. There was a motion for a roll call that has been amended to request a secret ballot. That is the amendment from Representative Sherwood. Representative Baldessaro, anything you want to say?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Shouldn't we have voted on the first motion? That was made?
No, amendments come first.
Okay, well, let's go.
Representative Bates.
Madam Chairman, I want to be sure that I and all the members, especially the new members, understand the parliamentary situation at the moment. I move the adoption of the rules that have been distributed to the members. The I don't know where you're from. The member independent, in essence, moved an amendment to these rules to have balloting as a secret ballot, and I'm asking to speak in opposition to his amendment.
That's correct.
Okay. First, I would like to say that I agree with the gentleman that we in New Hampshire absolutely do cherish the secret ballot. But we do that in elections of our citizens. When they go to the polls, it is absolutely, without question, a secret ballot. This is a different situation. We are here as the people's representatives. You've gone through that process. The secret ballots have been cast, and you have been chosen. You are the ones that are standing here today to vote on behalf of the people. And when we cast our votes, it is always a matter of public record. And you can just look at any journal and see how many of the votes are recorded votes. There's nothing inappropriate in us here today conducting our elections by a roll call vote. And to the point of the voting stations not being operative, as I said earlier, in explaining the rules that have been proposed, it will be by a call of the roll, just as we did when we took attendance. The voting machines are not an issue here. And so this process is easily, it can be implemented very easily. And as I said, it will actually be quicker. And were the intent of those that formed our Constitution that we would conduct our balloting here in this House by secret ballots, it would be in the Constitution. But we, as a legislative body, it is entirely within our prerogative to adopt the rules that we choose. And again, I would encourage all members to vote for the rules as I originally proposed them, and that we would vote no now to the members' amendment to change the rules that have been distributed to you. And Madam Chair, I hate to complicate things further, but I would ask for a roll call vote on this question.
Will the member yield to a question? Representative Panelakis, the member yields.
Thank you, Representative. As you know, it's pretty hard to teach a low dog new tricks. This is my 18th term, and I have always voted in a secret ballot. I think that my constituents believe that is the right thing to do. Are we going to stand up and say who we are voting for when it comes time?
Thank you for the question, and I believe that there's nothing inappropriate. In fact, I think it is quite noble for us to stand up and be counted for how we vote.
The House will be in order, please. Will the member yield to another question? Representative Smith, you may inquire.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for taking my question. Is it not true that this House has worked on precedents and worked very well on precedents through all the years that it has functioned?
Yes, thank you for the question, and I would agree that the House very often operates on precedent. And it's come to my attention and the attention of many of the members here today that there are certain actions contemplated in the ensuing elections that depart from precedent. And the purpose of adopting these rules is to minimize the possible disruptive kind of proposals that may come forward. And again, speaking to your question about precedent, if you look back through the recent organization days and recent history, you will see that the tradition, the precedent has been that the minority party or the leader of the minority party will offer a motion to cast one vote in favor of the nominee by the majority party. And it's my understanding that there are people that are intending to not keep to that tradition today. And so, again, the adoption of the rules that have been proposed is to, as much as possible, mitigate that possibility.
Follow-up? Thank you very much. So if I understand what you're saying, because some members of this House might choose to exercise their rights to vote, what you would like to do is to make sure that those rights cannot be exercised at this time. And I'm particularly interested in your emphasis on speed, because I am not aware at any time or in any place that speed is so important that it outranks the ability of, and the obligation of each one of us to carefully and responsibly cast our vote. Is speed what we care about rather than precedents, procedure, and rules? When we are given a document that doesn't come certainly from legislative services, doesn't come from the clerk's office, and violates the tradition in my 18 years that the rules of this engagement are always rules that have been agreed to by the ranking members of both parties. Is that not so?
The question is straight in the limits of my memory. I'm honestly not sure exactly the succinct question you're asking, if there was one there, but yeah, please.
Do you really need that, Representative Bates? If you've asked, Representative Smith, could you succinctly repeat your
Absolutely.
question?
My first question is speed something that outranks voting? And as part of that is, well, let's just start that.
Has the member finished? Thank you. I'm sorry. I just have a whole bunch of people. The member's out of order.
Madam Chair, actually, there were at least 3 questions there.
Representative Bates, do you know any of them?
I'm doing my best.
I think we're all doing our best right now. Is there anything you could answer?
Yeah, absolutely. Madam Chair, one of the issues the member raised was there being no marks on here from legislative services. And to that, I would simply respond that the member, in her concern for tradition and precedent, should be aware that the adoption of the rules never have gone through legislative services that I'm aware of. And so that's kind of an irrelevant issue. And as far as the agreement between the leaders of the 2 parties that you mentioned, well, quite simply, the reason the majority party is proposing these rules is because the leader of our party did not agree with these rules. And so there's no alternative but for us to offer a proposal of our own. And finally, the member made reference to the, actually 2 point things, I think. My emphasis on the speed, and that is not a primary concern. I just mentioned that because I think members, as you can see by the emphases, are already having the limits of your patience being stretched. And I think that when if this is adopted, the rest of the proceedings will go more quickly than they might otherwise have gone. And I think there was, one other thing, as far as members' ability to vote. There's nothing in these rules that in any way inhibit a member from having their opportunity to speak, to make motions, to cast their ballot. The only thing that is being proposed here that is in any way different is that it is a recorded vote. And I can tell you that at least the members of the majority party at this point are in favor of our votes here today being on record. And so, again, when we get back to the actual decision on this question, the question is on the amending of the rules to be by secret ballot. I would urge all my Republican colleagues to vote no to the motion to the amendment that we would have secret ballots.
The question before the House is on the Shurtleff amendment to the Bates motion, which would require secret ballot voting on the rules and on, let's just get that far. Will the member yield to another question? The member does not. The chair recognizes the member from Portsmouth, Representative Callie Pitts, to speak to the Shurtleff amendment.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I returned from Turkey and I'm fine. There's very little at my age that I'm passionate about, but voting is one of those things that I am. And I hold that right sacred. This is not an election about a public law. This is not an election about something, a policy that we are setting. This is an internal election. And that's the difference. When I came here to vote today, I passed by a mountain of ballot boxes, which means we were prepared to vote by paper ballot. if there are members in this House who think that that's a cumbersome problem and that this shouldn't be done, I'm speaking to the motion. And I believe that voting in an open ballot is wrong. There are motives for voting in an open ballot. And there are motives to see who votes which way. I would have no problem telling the press right now that I'm going to vote for Steve Shurtleff. But I want my vote private. We made a big deal about taking pictures of your vote, about doing other things with your vote. I believe that I have the right to cast a secret ballot, because that's the way we've always done it. I'm a newbie here. This is only my 9th term. But I would die, and I'm sure the gentleman behind me would die for anybody's right to cast a secret ballot. That's what it's all about. So I would beg you to please vote down this resolution or this proposed rule change and go back to where we came from, to where our rules state that we have the right to speak our mind privately, without fear of retribution, on this internal election. And again, that's the difference. Thank you.
In order, the chair recognizes Representative Kelly Pitts. Will you yield to a question?
I will.
Representative Baldessaro, you may inquire.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Representative, for taking my question. You brought about members here, I guess, giving their life to vote like we are. You've already clarified in the open and public that's who you're voting for. Many of us, or many of you, like yourself, have made this election, this here speaker race, part of your election, over and over. Why would we not want our constituents to know on record who we support? I was asked in my district, I didn't lose sleep saying who I was going to support. Why would you want to hide this from our constituents?
Applauding, booing, hissing is totally against the House rules and the chair's rules. Please, the House will be in order and listen to each person who's speaking. Thank you. Representative.
Madam Chair, I have the utmost respect for Representative William O'Brien, and I never made it an election issue, and I think Mr. O'Brien would know that. I never mentioned his name. I didn't need to. I was not running against him or for him. I was running for myself, which I hope each and every person in this hall did. I ran on my merits, not on somebody else's. I have never disrespected a speaker, ever. And I think Mr. O'Brien will concur with that. I was one that sought to make peace in this House. Now I know Rouser, and I speak my mind. But I wanted peace in this House, and I wanted camaraderie in this House. And I still do. And I think the way that we start that is by electing the Speaker, again, without fear of retribution, and without any other fear. And I think it's unfair to say that for me, this was an election issue. It was not.
The question before the House is the Shurtleff Amendment on secret ballot, the amendment to the proposed rules, and it is to have secret ballots. The chair recognizes the member from Durham, Representative Hargan, to speak against the amendment.
I didn't speak tonight. I'm sorry that I may have explained backwards. I'm in favor of the paper ballot. So that's,
Excuse me? So you are in favor?
yes, I want to speak in favor of the paper ballot and the secret ballot. So I apologize if that's confusing. I think I sponsored a somewhat controversial piece of legislation last year, and we're going to be dealing with it this year. And we'll be doing that in a few months. But it was designed to protect the secrecy of the ballot. I think our citizens deserve the right to the secret ballot so they can choose the candidates they want without fear of retribution or harassment. And I think the same applies to the 394 of us who showed up today to be part of our citizen legislature. And I'm not going to remember the member's name, even though Representative Talikis did, but there is a member who will be nominated for speaker who is less than universally popular, but he certainly the majority of this House, the full House chooses the speaker. He'll be our speaker, and I will certainly respect him in his office. So I think our practice and precedent in the past has been to have a paper ballot. We have a procedure in place for paper ballot, and I think it's appropriate to have a secret vote on this office and on the other office that we're voting for today. So I'd say let's stick with the paper ballot, which, by the way, is how both caucuses chose their nominees earlier last month.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the member from Keene, Representative Tim Robertson.
Thank you, Madam. It's going to be like repeating what someone's been said, but the only reason to have a non-secret ballot is so when I get elected speaker, I can single out those who voted for my opponent in the same party, and instead of putting you on the committee that you've always served on, I can put you in some committee that meets in the cellar on Sundays. And I can take away your leadership because I know you would have preferred a different leader from my party. And that's the only reason to have a recorded vote on this. And you should be able to vote your conscience, not vote the pressure that could be brought on you from whoever wins if it's not your candidate. So I say, let's have a paper secret ballot. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the member from Haverhill, Representative Ladd, to speak to the amendment to use secret ballots.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In hearing this discussion and this debate, I reflect back to what we had to do in Grafton County when Ray Burton died and we had to replace his commissioner position at Grafton County. We have in our bylaws, our rules up in the county, that we have to take action, of course, in a public session. And we did that. And we did it by secret ballot. However, upon doing that, then we as a delegation were called down by our county attorney, who happens to be a Democrat, and said, you need to do a voice ballot again at another session, which is posted in public. We did that across the street in the LOB. And although the voting remained the same, we were all documented as how we voted. So there's a little twist to this that we had come from our attorney in Grafton County. Thank you.
Parliamentary Court of the the chair about what we're doing? Okay, the question before the House is the amendment to use a secret ballot, paper ballot. The chair has recognized Representative Flanagan for an inquiry.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you very much. We have heard discussion, I'll put it in the question, about the need to be efficient and save time, and we also heard the need for being secret. Could we not use the electronic keys in front of us and do a division vote, since they're not assigned to anybody, and have both the best of both worlds?
That is possible today. The machine has been cleared. It is available for a division, but not for a roll call. All we have been told by the information technology staff is that if we use it, we clear it immediately, it goes nowhere. It's strictly a division, yes, no vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
The chair recognizes the member from Stoddard, Representative Eaton.
Madam Speaker, I first entered this chamber in 1976. The reality is I've been around here since I was 3, so it means just a couple of years before 1976. At that time, we had some of the most contentious leadership elections of this House have ever been seen. If you remember George Roberts and you remember Chris Spiro, there was not a lot of love lost, and the elections were exceedingly contentious. Yet with those two individuals, they had the utmost respect for the practice, precedent, and traditions of this institution. They did what Representative Shurtleff did, Representative O'Brien did, was agree to rules prior to the beginning of the session and adhere to those rules all the way through. Even when then Speaker Roberts knew he had a very difficult fight ahead of him, and in fact won by 1 vote. And I clearly remember sitting here when he gave his speech saying, I felt the wind of the bullet over my head. That was victory speech. The sanctity of the secret ballot, particularly in this chamber, the representatives of the people to uphold the sanctity of a secret ballot should be sacrosanct, should be above all. When we vote on an issue, there is no question our constituents have every right, ability, and responsibility to know how we voted. But there has been a Supreme Court rule on the ability, the rights, the privilege, and the responsibility of the members of this chamber to be able to conduct its own business. And I would separate that from county. The county has never gone to the Supreme Court to my knowledge, but the actions that this body have to uphold the sanctity of a secret ballot. Now, I don't care who you support. It should have no bearing. And frankly, for the candidates, whatever position they're in, it should have no bearing. The respect should side with true democracy and the sanctity of a secret ballot. And if democracy is to be based on the minute change clicking of a clock, we are all in danger for the duration of our time. I would urge every member to preserve, protect, and defend the truest foundation of our democracy, the sanctity of a secret ballot. Yes, I do.
Will the member yield Representative Almy to be inquired? You come up. That's quite a question. That would be very helpful. Thank you.
As a member of the Grafton County delegation, would you agree that when you are looking at an internal election of a body, it is a very different thing than when the Grafton County delegation is electing a commissioner who is going to be working across from them?
Frankly, I'm not sure I want to step into that. Yes, I think there probably is a difference. But I would state that, to my knowledge, at this moment, I have no idea if there have been Supreme Court rulings stating one way or the other. I do know there have been Supreme Court rulings as to how we conduct our affairs.
Thank you very much. The chair recognizes the member from Hudson, Representative Jasper, to speak to the amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise in support of the Sherwood Amendment. I do so for a number of reasons. First, I want to address some of the issues that have been raised here. When I spoke at caucus, I did in fact misspeak. I want to clarify that to those who had, when I spoke in caucus. What the Supreme Court had ruled was that we could not be forced to vote by roll call vote, meaning that in fact 10 people could not get up and require a roll call vote. We could only do that to ourselves by majority vote, and I'm asking you not to do that. This is one of the very few votes that we get to take that is just for ourselves. This vote is not for our constituents. It is for us. We have a right to elect the person that we feel is best able to lead us for the next 2 years. And so that is important. I think we all know that there has never been an argument about rules before, certainly not in my 11 terms here. And the gentleman from Pembroke did not have the opportunity to agree or disagree with these proposed rules. He did not see them. They were not presented to him. That is not right. We've been promised that we would have a different kind of house, and here we are on our very first really procedural vote, and we have a very clear idea of where we're going now. We were also told that there was really only one change to the proposed rule, and that was that it would be a secret ballot. We were told that several times. I heard that said. But in the rules that have always been adopted in the past, the rules have stated there will be no elimination of a candidate. In the new rules, you were not told that in fact the low candidate would be eliminated. In the old rules, and the rules we've always gone by, it's also been that there was the opportunity for a subsequent nomination if things weren't going well. The new rule prevents that. The new rule also makes it clear that any changes to the rule would have to be by 2/3 vote. So that was not there. As to the issue of county versus us, we adopted as the legislature the right to know law. The right to know law applies to that county delegation. It does not apply to the legislature, specifically because we didn't make it apply to us, particularly in this case. We are the third branch of government. The Supreme Court has well established that we have the right to set our own rules. So that argument should not have any weight on this. Again, it is for our own operations, and we shouldn't be going down this path. We should respect the traditions. And I do know from the Secretary of State that this has been tried before in the past, and it has always failed. And I urge you to adopt the amendment, and I would bring forward at that time an amendment for the rules that have been previously adopted by this chamber for this day. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
The chair recognizes the member from Pembroke, Representative Sherwood. Well, maybe she does too. I don't know.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not sure if this is a question of the previous speaker or of the chair. I believe, as we are voting for candidates, wherever we're voting, we usually have the right to write in someone's name who is not officially nominated. How would one go about doing that in this kind of situation?
I don't know. There are often, 3 or 4 candidates. We have had situations in the past where we've had several candidates, and that is the answer from the chair. And Representative Bates, you have not been recognized.
Parliamentary inquiry?
Representative
Parliamentary inquiry?
Parliamentary inquiry?
Yes.
Yes.
If the rules as proposed were adopted and the roll was being called, would not a member have the opportunity to vote for any person they chose and have the effect?
Excuse me, are you answering parliamentary inquiries now? You guys are really going to set me off. And I said, no margaritas in the water pitcher today. Representative Bates, I believe you are correct. I do not know how the people doing the tallying would ever keep up with it. That is an issue. And I don't know the logistics of that, and I really don't want to be told what they are by someone in the chamber right now. Thank you. Representative Baldessaro, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Chair, you're doing a heck of a job there. Keep up the good work. But anyways, Madam Chair, I'd like to call a question.
Representative Baldessaro has moved the previous question. Is that sufficiently seconded? It is sufficiently seconded. Now, the question is the amendment. And right now, I'm going to put the question to you. A division has been requested. Roll call has been requested. Is that sufficiently seconded? No, it is not. You have to rise from your seat. If you're standing in the back or getting up to let people through, that doesn't count. Now wait a minute. Just relax. Representative Bates is requesting a roll call on the amendment. Members will take their seats. This is on calling the question. We are doing a roll call vote on calling the question. Members will take their seats and sit quietly and answer in a firm voice.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Representative Bates.
I apologize. I lost track of where we were. I withdraw my request for a roll call on the motion on the previous question.
The motion before us is on the previous question. The request for the roll call has been withdrawn. There was a request for a division vote. All members take their seats. Now is the time to turn on those voting stations. For those of you that were not able to hear, the question before the House is to move the question to cut off debate on the amendment. We are just voting, we are voting to close debate. We are voting by division. Representative Kaplan, some of the buttons are sticking. If we notify you to come down afterwards, please do. The rest of you, please remain in your seats. Thank you very much. Representative Schuett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a parliamentary inquiry about the process. How can it be assured that those seats that represent members who did not answer the roll call and get sworn are not being used during this vote?
We are checking them right now. Only members who were here and were sworn in. The others should be locked out. We still have people who were sworn in who have not. The motion is to limit debate, to end debate. Representative Schertz, you're recognized for parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Although I'm in no hurry myself, I think we've had a I know that we've had a very ample debate on the question before us, and if I would support moving the question, would I now vote yes? Thank you, Madam Chair. Push the green button. Thank you.
Are you ready for the question? The question, Representative Bates, parliamentary inquiry, is that what you're?
Yes, Madam Chair. And you pleased with the question. If you know as I know that I'm in complete agreement with the gentleman in terms of ending this debate and moving forward, would you please press the green button for yes?
All right, we're still turning some people's buttons on if they're not getting them. For those of you that are new, I will tell you it is forbidden to turn on or deal with someone else's voting station. All right, the question before the House is the motion to limit debate. If you are in favor of that question, you will push the green button. If you are opposed, you will push the red button. Voting stations are open for 30 seconds. If your voting station did not work, please come down to the front quickly and let them know here. There should only be a few of you. And I'm asking people to move very quickly, please. We are way behind the schedule. So you're sitting down. Representative Garnett, would you go back to the please? We can't have that in the aisle. The House will attend to the state of the vote. 83 have been voted in the affirmative, 8 in the negative. The motion to limit debate is adopted. We are now going to be voting on the amendment by Representative Schertz. So what was this memorialized?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
My inquiry is that the matter that's before the House now is the Schertz amendment.
I beg your
The
pardon?
Schertz amendment.
The Schertz amendment.
And there is a roll call request.
There is a roll call request on the
Further inquiry of the chair. And if I requested the party to move to that roll call to withdraw the request so that I might bring the subsequent request for a division vote, would that be in order?
That would be in order.
And may I so request of that party?
Representative O'Brien is requesting that the party who made the request for the roll call on the Schertz amendment withdraw the request request? You do? Representative Bates withdraws his request.
Move a division vote.
Representative O'Brien requests a division vote on the shirtless amendment. We will go directly to that. This is to use paper ballots. This would be a yes vote, would be in favor of using the paper ballot. Representative Shirley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just for a point of clarification to the Chair, it's my understanding that the proposal that I made is that the vote on the resolution introduced by the gentleman from Wyndham, that be a paper ballot vote on an up or down vote on that. Is that the understanding of the Chair?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
This is the shirtless amendment, which would require the rules proposed that you have received be adopted by a paper ballot. That's what you just stated. The chair is in doubt and would like to talk to Representative Shirtley. I have something different. I thought what you were saying was that election ballots would be by paper ballot. Representative Shirtley, could you make this clear? The Shirtley?
Oh, Lord, I hope so.
Amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your patience. Madam Chair, if I know that my intent by my motion was to request an up or down vote on the proposed resolutions that were presented to us by the gentleman from Wyndham. And Madam Speaker, if I know that I am very much opposed to those resolutions that I and many of us saw for the first time this morning. And Madam Speaker, knowing that those proposed resolutions run contrary to our rights as citizens in this legislative body to cast a secret ballot for our Speaker, would I now push the red button and push no on the proposed state's resolution? Thank you, Madam Speaker. Would I now, thank you, well, it's been a while, hasn't it? Would I now push the green button and support the short resolution? Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, fellow House members.
Just a minute. Thank you for the promotion, Representative Shirtley. Representative Bates, you are recognized for parliamentary inquiry.
Finally reached agreement. Madam Chair, if you know as I know, this vote isn't a matter of people's sacred rights, secret ballot, and a lot of the other things that have been said. If you know as I know that it is not a matter of right or wrong, but is simply what is the will of this body in terms of how we're going to conduct ourselves in the subsequent voting. If you agree with those things, would you now press the red button and vote no to the Shirtless amendment? Thank you.
I'm glad you all think it's funny. All of you question. Remember when I said, please let the clerk know ahead of time what it is you plan to do? The question before the House is whether or not to adopt the proposed rules by paper ballot. If you vote yes, you are voting to adopt those by paper ballot. If you vote no, you are voting to take some other action. Everybody sitting down? Here we go again. Voting stations will be open for 30 seconds. Representative Kaplan, please. The members will please be in order. Have all members voted? If not, please scurry down front. I think some of you are coming down here and your votes really were registered because there aren't that many blanks on this. Could you please? Have all members voted who were here when the question was put? Have all members voted? 222 having voted in the affirmative, 171 in the negative. The motion carries. We had the motion before the House now is the adoption of the proposed rules. We have just voted by a measure of 222 to 171 to take that vote by paper ballot. If you will give us a few seconds here and stay in your seats, you're going to be called by divisions. I need to get the ballot workers down here. The rules are before us, and Representative Jasper has an amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to move that the rules as proposed be replaced entirely with the rules that have been adopted in previous years to allow for secret balloting and no elimination until a candidate wishes to withdraw, and that the rules as we proceed may be amended by majority vote. And those have been printed and will be handed out, and I would urge you to consider them in the matter of fairness, tradition of this House, so that we can proceed to have fair decision without intimidation and without limitation. Thank you.
The amendment is Representative Jasper, excuse me, I need to confer with you. I want to make sure I've got this correct. I am losing parts of the microphone now. Apparently, would the members please be in order? We are preparing ballots. We were not prepared for a ballot vote on this because we didn't know. Representative Jasper has moved to amend the proposed rules. Now I've got so many sets of them, I don't know what I'm doing. Which would leave all candidates standing after any ballot unless they chose to withdraw of their own volition. It would have balloting continuing until an officer is elected. It would not be an open call the roll. On each ballot, there would be one blank line for writing candidates, and each candidate would name 2 tellers to count the ballots. And there would be 15 minutes limited to each candidate, subsequent speeches to 3 minutes per candidate, no other limitations on the speeches. For what purpose, Representative Officer?
Question of the chair. You just read off some rules. None of us have seen these rules or know anything about them. We have the rules that have already been passed out that we're going to be voting on, but there's an amendment. Where's the amendment? Besides the chair reading.
Right here.
None of us have it.
Representative Simmons?
Parliamentary inquiry?
You can state your inquiry.
There seems to have been 398 votes cast, and we only had 392 members present. What is the discrepancy? Okay, I understand correctly. There's 393 people voting, and we have 392 members present. Am I to understand?
Would the members please be in order? Obviously, there is confusion.
Am I to understand that the same body that was concerned that the rules that were given to us earlier today did not have enough time for us to digest, but now I'm supposed to be voting on rules that I have not seen at all, will not see at all, and I'm supposed to just go by some reading of them rather than actually having a copy of something in front of me to vote on?
Representative Simmons, they are being run off at the moment. If I had known, I also did not see the rules that were being discussed, which was very difficult for the chair.
Thank you.
So now you will sit and wait while we make 400 copies of what I told you about. Members, we are not in recess.